Okay. Then it's the moral realist. Okay, Zarif is in here. Do you want to start?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can start. Cool. Just
Okay.
tell me, because I know it's like, oh, it's recording now? Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So, you're a moral realist. I'm an air theorist.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose the first question I have for you is, why exactly would you hold to moral realism?
Well, I think it is more intuitive to believe moral realism in the sense that we live like moral realism is true, rather than we live like error theory is true or subjectivism is true. In the sense that we will come to an agreement that things like the Holocaust is bad are axioms or accepted axioms.
Right. You take it that our beliefs about it, but like I feel like you could almost say, right,
Mm-hmm.
that we live like taste is like I don't know, like objective, right? Like, oh, that tastes bad, that tastes good. I don't see why like one could say, or one
Mm-hmm.
like could argue that like there's going to be like some kind of like predictive expectations of a population if morality is real and morality isn't real. Like and even if it is intuitive, I don't see the entailment.
We also think that the meaningfulness of moral language presupposes the objective existence of moral properties. Essentially, that if moral claims are statements that can be in the first place either true or false, then it should follow that some of them are in fact true.
Wait, you don't think I could have like a set of only possibly false statements? For example, like I think like contradictions are like statements that are always going to be false, right?
Sure.
And the same set, I think that like all moral propositions are always going to be false. Just because there's always some propositions about contradictions, that doesn't mean contradictions are going to be some contradictions that are true, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait. What do you mean by like propositions that are always going to be false?
Yeah, so like we can set up like a certain set of propositions, right? So like we have moral language like the X is good, X is bad, right? But there's also certain language that we can have like which is like X is true and false or something like that, and that's the fact that it's going to be true and false. That's always going to be false, right? That statement being true and false, that's going to be false in itself. Okay. So there are like we can make a set of propositions that are always going to be false. In the same way, we can do that with more propositions. We can say, oh, those statements always lead to falsehood, right?
Okay. So, as a skeptic, I'm guessing you hold that all moral propositions are false, right? That's an error theory.
I hold that, yeah, because like I don't think like yeah, I can explain why I feel like.
No, okay, that's fine. I just want to like go on to something really quick, and then maybe you can explain why. So, okay, so as a skeptic, you're holding that all moral propositions are false. However, it would follow from this that if you're correct, then both P and Q are false because they are moral propositions, and this would entail the truth of not P and not Q, because the tautology in question is true. So it follows to conclude that, like, for example, let's say P is let's say P is eating people is right, and let Q be eating people is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this can be transformed into a true statement that has some relevance to like the actual world. So like either eating people is right or eating people is wrong, or things like eating people is not right or eating people is not wrong, which means the same as either eating people is right or eating people is wrong, or eating people is either right or wrong, right?
Well, I take it that it could be neither right nor wrong. I think that's like logically possible. Do you think it isn't?
Hold on, because if you're an error theorist, then so as an error theorist, you would claim that nothing in the world is intrinsically good or intrinsically bad, in the sense that we do not have any reasons to care about anything for its own sake. But I think that if we can claim things like love and happiness as things that are intrinsically good, and things like irrationality or something along those lines are intrinsically bad, then we have some sort of reason to believe that normatively claims claims involving things intrinsic wise are objectively true. Because okay, sorry, I'll let you talk.
Oh well, what I'm trying to follow here is so that you say that, like, for example, love, right? You think that you said that some can claim, right, or something like that. Like I think people believe that love is good. I completely agree with that. Now I don't think the belief about it is like causing it to be true or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not really just like following right until like
Okay.
why it would be the case that the belief about it being right or the belief about it being wrong would entail to such like points. I just don't see the
So
argument
I'm
there.
just saying that. So essentially, I'm saying that if error theory is true, then there are no needs, and we wouldn't have like need for like reactions in a negative or positive sense. But we do have reason to value intrinsically good things like happiness, love, and health, which are like I guess you could say like accepted axioms. And so if this is the case, and I think it follows that error theory is false.
So I can give an account of that, right, without having normative language, right? So for example, I can say that what I mean to say that, X is good is what I'm really like. I'm just trying to say that it's good in relation to my goal, right?
Okay.
If my goal is to derive most pleasure, if my goal is to prevent robbers to getting in my house, then it's good to lock the door at night, right? There's like a set of goals that don't have anything to do with morality, like desires, beliefs, right? I take it that like.
Doesn't that mean then that's the same as just claiming that those set propositions are not moral issues? Because wouldn't you already be allowing that some statements,
Well,
which you so it sorry,
the
sorry,
point is
sorry.
the point is that you can reduce it to non-normative language, right? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be normative. Now, I do think there's a fact of the matter to hypothetical norms, such as if it's good to lock the door, then you ought to lock the door, right? Stuff like that. There's like a fact of the matter to that, but you don't actually have to use that kind of good or normative language, because what the statement really just means to say is to obtain X goal, you have to do Y, right? That's not anything to do with morality. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it kind of seems that you're already allowing that some statements which use moral language are true. So you're.
But I don't take them. I don't take them to be actually. I take them to be reduced down descriptively, not normative, right? Or I take it that like basically.
So exactly. So you're saying that. So let's say a proposition, going back to the proposition I was using earlier, like the eating people and not eating people. So in this case, you'd be accepting that the truth of the claim that eating people is not a moral issue, and rather that
it is eating people in itself is going to be a descriptive notion, but the point would be is that when we make the statement, X is right, that's false, and X is wrong, that's false. So it just leaves to a non-normative state, and we hold to this for like ontological simplicity and such, right?
I'm saying that it leads to like saying, okay, well, I think your position would lead to it being an amoral claim rather than an actual like moral claim.
Well, yeah, that's what I think that.
Well, so I think that this is the case, and I just think
the scenario is descriptive. Let's put it like that.
Okay, so all right, because so I think your position would follow that it is meaningless in the sense of so let's say we know that the terms moral and amoral are classificatory devices, right? And they would exist in categories into which actions and activities are sorted. So all actions then fall under one or the other of the two headings, moral and amoral. So there's an obvious distinction between the categories, and that the existence of one classificatory device on its own is a senseless idea because they are only meaningful if and only a distinction between them exists obviously. So amorality is just defined by the contrast with morality and vice versa. So without the meaningfulness provided by the existence of a competing category, an individual would not be able to understand what it is meant when an action is assigned to the category. So if error theory is true, then it seems like we cannot actually make statements like or we cannot understand things like what is things that are intrinsically like good.
You don't think somebody could have a mistaken belief?
A mistaken belief?
Yeah,
I think we can have like underlying errors in what we believe, but I don't think that's really an argument in the sense that we can have like people believing the Earth is flat. I don't think that means like that.
Well, the point would be is that when somebody has a belief such as something's good and something's bad, what we want to say is that is a mistaken belief. And so when we're really saying is there's like no like goodness property that's like that we're like applying it, or there's like no analytically equivalent property being applied to the thing. So when we're saying those stuff like statements like that, like I don't see there's a problem saying that everything reduces down descriptively in that sense. Now, obviously, there's still like normative things, right? Like like beliefs and desires, I think can be normative, but I think it's relevant. The point is that something being when we say that everything is necessarily amoral, then like the statement something's good is just a mistaken belief. But you're taking this like problematic.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it problematic in the sense that because ethics is only meaningful in the sense that so we can actually distinct good and bad, and I think I'm gonna rise a problem in which if error theory is true, then we can actually distinct these things.
Why is it a problem?
Because because if you're only saying that we can have like underlying errors in our beliefs, then
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is I think it's still courteous with moral realism in the sense that we'd say science is subjective. We can have different like subjective interpretations of science.
I'm failing to understand the problem here. So when I say the statement X is good, and I take that to be false, right? Or my belief about morality is just some kind of like condition, or that's like that I've been derived from my environment. It doesn't seem like that's like a problem to have because we can say like plenty of beliefs derived from your environment. I'm more likely to believe that something is good, if I was conditioned to think it. In the same way, if somebody grew up with religion, they're more likely to think God is intuitive and stuff like that. And I don't see a problem but stating that that this distinction amoral and moral really doesn't exist, and that people are having mistaken beliefs because people have always had mistaken beliefs.
So you're saying amoral and moral claims don't exist?
No, I think amoral claims exist, and I think moral claims exist, but they're all false.
Okay. Well, okay. So if let's say so P and Q, let's say moral claims are P and amoral claims are Q. So you're saying that not P but Q.
Yeah, right. Like for example, are there an even blade of grasses in Africa or like an odd number, right? Like one would say, oh, one could believe X, one could believe Y, but you don't have to believe either, right? You can refrain from the belief. Or like you can say that like blades of grass don't exist and you can believe that, which is like what an atheist might say is like, oh, well, there's no blades of grass in Africa. Well, I know that's like a dumb position, but it's to illustrate the point, right? You can just like take.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. But I think I already brought the issue between like having like one classificatory device on its own instead of saying, okay, well, moral claim, so not P but Q. But I think I already arrived or derived the problem from only Q, from just only have substantiating Q, because Q can only. Sorry.
No, I'm just trying to track what you're saying, right? Because it seems what you're trying to say is that people have this mistaken categorization, right? But this is a problem for error theory because what we want to say is that this mistaken categorization, right, isn't like is mistaken, but yet people use it anyway. I'm really just not tracking.
No, so I'm saying that I'm saying that it is unintuitive to believe that P, so not P and Q, because I've derived the problem between having not moral claims and only having amoral claims, or vice versa.
I think it is intuitive to say P or Q and not, and I think it's unintuitive to say not P, not Q. But I don't see the problem with saying like you think there's do you think like intuition is like a justifier of some kind? Like I think it's intuitive that there's like a what's up?
Oh, sorry. Okay, what do you define as like intuition though? Like
the seemingness of a proposition.
Okay, and so wouldn't you say if we have two things, if we have like two world views that are neither or
I think it's super intuitive that pedophilia is bad, right? And it's like an obvious thing in my head. There's obvious in my head. There's like obvious gratuitous evils. Now, what my point would be is that when I say that it's like evil or that it's good, like I think there's like some problems that we like commit ourselves, right? Are you familiar with the argument from queerness from J.L. Mackie?
Queerness, yes, I do. Yeah, I think I've heard. Isn't it that something along the lines of if I think moral properties don't work like other normal property or like normative properties, along that lines, or am I mistaken?
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. I didn't hear quite.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
So isn't the argument from queerness just saying that like moral properties don't work like any other like normative properties that work for we can't like justify them or something along those lines?
Well, it's going to commit you to like queer ontological facts. Like it's like you're going to commit yourself to like things that you've like never experienced and like unaware. It's just going to lead to
Mm.
basically like facts about the world that we like really can't seem to account for, and that like somehow like object morality is like supervene upon natural properties. A lot of these things that you don't want to commit yourself, right? In
Well, isn't it already presupposing that naturalism is true and that rationalism is not true?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Isn't the argument from queerness already presupposing that naturalism is true and all things must be naturalistic, and that
No, it's just saying that it's like ontological parsimony, that like it entails more. Are you familiar with like Occam's razor?
yeah.
Yeah. So the point would be, it's just using Occam's razor. It doesn't necessarily have to presuppose some kind of like, form of naturalism. It's just saying that like if you have to postulate more things in your ontology, that would be a bad thing to explain away these properties, when we can actually like reduce it down simply to say that these things don't exist and we just like have
Okay.
mistaken beliefs about them. That'd be like more simple. You wouldn't be committed to like weird or queer, as what he would call it, ontological points, right?
Okay, so could you give me like more so like a step-by-step premise of like the so are you using the queer argument or did you just want to bring it up?
Well, I believe in the queer argument. So yeah, sure, we can use it.
Okay.
The idea is that there's going to be some things, right? Like the idea that like that the moral property is going to supervene on like
Mhm.
well, first that you can that these things are not going to have any like what predictive expectations, right? Like for example, something being good, right? For example, if you thought the Earth rotates on an axis, that wouldn't,
Mhm.
if you just proved that was good, it wouldn't tell anything about the natural world. It doesn't
Okay,
tell
but
anything about
I
the
don't
natural
really
world.
think that's attacking my stance whatsoever because I'm not
Well,
taking like a non-naturalistic stance.
I'm just listing out a couple ontological like facts that would be queer, right?
Okay.
Other than that, there's other
Wait, hold on.
positions,
What
right?
would you consider like an ontological fact?
Something that like so something that's like a natural fact, like a ontological fact, would be just describing the nature of something, right? So like if I said like so when people say human nature, that'd be ontological fact, right?
Okay.
I'm trying to put it in a way that like just doesn't sound like philosophy speak, right?
No, no, I understand that.
Yeah. The idea just simply is that when you
Mhm.
say something like exists or something like you describe the nature of something, that's an ontological fact, but you want to, but like given like two theses that are like not expected or whatever, you just want to hold to um the most simple theory, given that like morality has no predictive expectations and stuff like that. You want to hold to the simplest one. You want to one that feels the less ontological facts and such.
Okay, so when we're taking up like some like okay, like in a metaethical worldview, would you
Mm-hmm.
say what is most intuitive is what most values truth and reason?
What's most intuitive? I
Yeah,
mean,
or
I
like
guess,
what is like most
yeah,
like
relative to me, it's like really intuitive that like to like rationality,
okay.
yeah, like that seems intuitive, right? And Occam's razor is also like really intuitive to me. Like,
I mean, okay, I can agree with Occam's razor being intuitive, but
yeah.
um okay. So I guess then I would have to ask you, so if morality or if it is not P then only Q, then why should I choose to abide by things like epistemic duties? If for example, like let's say, you would say like oughts, right? Like I ought to
Yeah,
not misrepresent your argument or I ought
yeah,
not to be fallacious.
yeah,
So
sure,
if these things are like amoral in the sense that like they're not actually true or
yeah.
they're like always factually like wrong, um, then I don't think you could uh, hold by these or assign these some sort of like
Yeah,
value.
yeah, I don't believe in epistemic duties though.
You don't believe in epistemic duties, so
No, I think that if, as long as you just want to call your position like rational, you ought to stay rational. But that can be like reduced down descriptively, right? Like in order to be rational, you have to do these things. And if it was the case that you're being irrational right now, that's like fine in
wait,
my head.
hold on, wait,
I don't
give me a
see a problem
second.
there.
Sorry, my dad's like calling me over real quick.
Oh,
Hold on, I'll
that's
be
cool.
like back in 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. For somebody who doesn't only been doing this for a month. He's like knows some good stuff. At one point, it was gibberish, but yeah. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, pretty base.
Pretty based. Dude, he a lot of it like isn't like beginner shit. I expected him to run some like, oh, like I take it that when people say good, they mean this or something like that. That's how I expected it to go. Oh, this was interesting.
Yeah, he understands how like epistemic norms and moral norms are structurally isomorphic, which is pretty based.
Okay.
Unironically,
Hopefully we like finish this episode though.
Moral realism is true.
Okay. Very cool, Evan. Go. I guess I can just watch a video in the meantime.
Hopefully he can come back.
Yeah. I hope so. Go. Typing without keys is a challenge.
Okay, my bad about that. I'm back.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap this up a little quicker though, because
Yeah. I do
okay,
too.
you go back to what you were.
Yeah, I was rejecting like epistemic duties.
Okay.
Yeah, like okay, what we mean to say when we say that, like, oh, in order to be like rational, right? It's not like a norm in my head, right? Like you're just saying in order to be rational, you need to do this, right?
Sure.
But like that's not even like a norm, and that's just like, oh, just accomplishing this in the natural world, and that's like fine to me. I don't see why you need to hold to epistemic duties.
Okay. So I guess I just have to ask you if you can give me like a step-by-step premise of like of an heresy argument.
Yeah. So epistemic duties reduced down to descriptive facts.
Okay.
So to be like simple about it, or to be to not like use normative language, like ontological parsimony. We ought to, given Occam's razor, we should be like use descriptive language. Right?
Okay.
All right, there you go. That's my belief. Like if somebody was like saying, "Oh, I'm just going to be irrational about this," like,
okay.
I'm just not.
So are you saying that objective moral values are just like not natural or just descriptive?
Oh no, this is only applying to like hypothetical norms or epistemic duties, right?
Oh, okay. Wait, so are you? Hold on, I'm confused. Are you arguing for error theory, or are you just arguing against epistemic duties?
Well, I am arguing for like error theory and against epistemic duties.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think they just.
So you don't agree that.
Like I think they reduce them descriptively, right? But I mean, like I don't think like a categorical norm such as X is good, right? But like even epistemic like categorical norms I would deny too, because like presumably like I'm an error theorist, right? But I don't see the necessity of epistemic categorical norms. You just have to like give me some like reason, right? Why they're necessary.
Okay, so I guess I just start by saying, so would you accept that we have like more reason to want to live a life that is happy or not just agony and depression and sad? Do you believe we have more reason to want to live like a life like that?
I mean, we can describe this like through desires, which aren't like moral, right? We can say, oh, one desires X, right? So we can just like to obtain that X, they have to do Y, right? Like that can be reduced down descriptively also.
Okay, but like, these things, like I say, like happiness and the other things are just have like these intrinsic features and because of this, and they give us reason to care or believe them. And so it seems like we have more intuitive reason to believe that we do have some sort of a reasoning to follow realism rather than just saying, well, everything is wrong.
I mean, yeah, there's reasons, but are they moral reasons? I don't like understand here.
Oh, okay. Well, what would you say something like? What would you describe moral reason as? Because I think we're having a
Well,
little
you would
misunderstanding
have to
here.
appeal to some kind of categorical norm. They're like, oh, it's because it's good. But that if it's not, then you could just say that it's like consistent with my position under error theory, right? That
Okay.
it doesn't conflict with my position whatsoever. If there's like reasons to do it and they're not like moral, then like my position is still consistent with that idea.
Wait, hold on. But if these things are moral, then it seems like it's more consistent with my view.
Of course,
I think they're not.
if it has to be out of like because it's necessarily good, right? Then
Yeah. So if
obviously then
something is
you just got to give me a reason. You just got to show me how that's the case. I don't see how
okay,
that.
so if something like okay, well, we already have like the distinction between things that are like intuitive or like axiomatically like bad and good, right? Like things like you'd say, well, we accept happiness or like pleasure as things that are or axioms that are like good, right? And things that are
We
like
accept that they're good. Are you saying that
questioned
they're?
or
Would you
arguments, things
wait
that
wait
are
wait
bad.
wait? You're not. Are you holding to some kind of analytical like understanding of them? Like, are you saying that like happiness is analytically equivalent to good, or do you think that it's just happiness is good, right? In the sense that like that when things are happy, there's like some kind of like property of good attached to it, right?
I think I'd hold to happiness having some like property of good, and then we
Okay.
like we like synthetically um
Well, I don't know how you begin to like justify that. You're just going to appeal to your moral intuition.
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Did I cut out?
You cut out for a little bit.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say?
So something about saying something. You said synthetic, and then cut off right there.
Okay, so I think rather than it being like analytically true, I think because analogy or something that is analytically true is something like we'd prescribe it as like a first person reason, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can see these things in like external to us.
You think
Like
there? Well, yeah, I understand your belief about that, too, but I'm wondering why, as you believe it, because it just seems ontologically parsimonious. Going back to Quirin's argument, right?
wait, what?
It just seems to be ontologically like parsimonious, right? Parsimonious just means to say that it's like holds to many more positions
Yeah.
than in other
Yeah.
cases, right? Yeah.
Okay. Um yeah, I don't know if I have much more.
Oh. Well, I mean, you said you had to go, so do you want to wrap this up, or?
I guess. Do you want to just give conclusions or something or
Yeah. Let's just do that.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, my understanding of how this debate went down was we talked about so the possibility. So, like, are people like the possibility of like having that mistaken belief in the categorization, right? And I can like reduce it down like descriptively or whatever. It doesn't like seem that problematic. Nor is it like just because of one holds intuition about it doesn't really make it like justified to believe in, right? And then we went. I think we led down to another path about the queerness argument, which is to say that if something's like parsimonious, right? If you held to like a bunch of different assumptions about something, and something had a lot of different, like a lot less assumptions, like under error theory, they have a lot less assumptions about morality, then you'd be willing to say that you want to hold to error theory, right? And then we talked about stuff like epistemic duties, such as to be rational, you ought to do X, but that seems to be reduced down descriptively and thus doesn't seem to contradict error theory in any such way. And so, in the end, I think that it went more my direction, but
Oh,
up to Blue. Go ahead, Blues.
okay. Was that it? Like, was
Mm-hmm.
that your?
That was my
Okay.
conclusion. Yep.
So I think moral realism like holds more intuitively true to in the sense that humans and sentients tend to live like moral realism is true rather than error theory or subjectivism. And during the debate, I think I was able to describe and arrive to a problem if not P and Q is true, because this entails the truth of not P and Q, and therefore it should follow that things like propositions like eating people is neither not right or nor wrong, and this means that eating people is not a moral issue, and it is a case that it is a moral issue. So I think that's already arriving to like a dichotomy and a problem right there. And one of the other reasons that I was giving it, I think, was like some sort of relativism in the sense that we can have different like moral intuitions or moral beliefs. I don't really think that's an argument against moral realism in the same sense that things like different scientific theorem don't actually prove that science is not objectively true. So I guess that's my conclusion.
I mean, just to say something, my point about the intuition was to show that because something's unintuitive doesn't mean it like rationally justifies moral realism. That wasn't like my point. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good debate, bro.
Yeah, good debate. It's good talking to you. Really fun. I suppose that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool.
Goodbye, everyone.
All right, man. Have a good one.